Welcome to this week's edition of the Optimum Synergy Podcast with our friend and your host, Adam Huber. Join Adam as he takes you on a journey into the realm of detailing, business, and beyond. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Sit back and enjoy the ride.
This is a test. I don't know exactly how this is going to turn out. I'm using a whole bunch of new software on here that this is a test. Not really sure how a lot of this goes, but I thought it would be fun to do a live video of the podcast before the podcast comes out. I don't know if it's going to go over super well or not, but I thought it would be a lot of fun to do it this way because now you guys can put questions in the chat and ask about stuff or ask my opinion on something as we're going through the podcast. Sound fair? All right. Still haven't decided if I really want to put these on yet. I don't need them. I just feel like weird when I'm doing a podcast and I'm not actually wearing them. So, anyways, crush it. It's the book right here. It's by my boy, GaryV. This is one of my favorite books. And, hold on a second, I gotta pause my own podcast. Nope, can't do it. Alright, someone on Facebook could do me a favor. Can you drop a comment in the box just so I know that it works? That's it. Ask me a question, comment something. I just need to know if it works on this end over here. That's all. But, anyways, guys, we're going over this book. This is one of my favorite books. Like I said. All right, so old mom, Shay, gave me the wave. Works. Doesn't show up in my chat. It's a darn shame. Oh, well. All right, so what we're doing here, again, for you guys that are just tuning in, I am going to be doing the podcast right now before the actual podcast comes out tomorrow. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat. I will respond to them, and we'll just go like that. All right. So, what's up, Mr. LaCroix? Do you like the backdrops? All right, so, man, it'd be really nice if I could just do just the comments and that's it. But anyways, it's kind of sad that you guys on Facebook aren't popping up in the comment section for Twitch right here. You see this little window? But whatever. We're moving on. All right, so I've got some notes here. I'm going to cover up my own ugly mug on the right-hand side of the screen. This book was written over 10 years ago. Some of the things in here are a little bit weird, or out of date. I guess I shouldn't say weird, but they're out of date. He talks about a couple of social medias that aren't present anymore, but this book is still as relevant now, probably even more so now, than really even probably back then what it was. When I was owning my own business and when I was doing marketing, this is the book that I basically it was my Bible. What's up, David? So, anyways, if you guys don't know who GaryV is, GaryV is a serial entrepreneur. He's the owner of VaynerX. He started working with his dad in a wine business doing e-commerce. He's written 5 New York Times bestsellers, this being one of them. And every single one of his books, actually I haven't read every single one of his books, but most of his books I have read. And they are gold. They're golden. If you guys want to know how to attract more people to for coating jobs, detailing, whatever it be, that just read his books. That's what you want to do. So the wine business. Now, what is important and different about Gary running an e-commerce business with his dad is that this was done like in the late 90s, early 2000s. So there was no such thing as e-commerce. Now, he didn't exactly invent it or anything like that. But he did, he was a part of that very early group that did e-commerce. And because of that, Wine Library exploded. And actually for another reason as well. So another thing that Gary did is he started a YouTube channel called Wine Library TV. And he basically would just review wines and then give his opinion on YouTube. And that's what he did. I can't remember exactly how many episodes he did, but he had just a ton of episodes. Something that he talks about a lot that I think is really interesting is that he didn't get hardly any views on those videos for the first, I think he says, for the first 100 or so videos. He never had any views on them whatsoever or anything significant. So, what's up, David? What's up, Sam? So just imagine for a second that us living in this world now, we're upset when we put out 5 videos and they don't get any views. This guy is in a time and place where TV ads, radio ads, billboard, everything else like that is still what's the norm and what every great marketer is doing because that's what they're pushing. So he's sitting on a platform and he's advertising in a way that nobody else does. And he's putting out 100 or so videos with very little views, and he still keeps with it. Do you think that you could do the same thing? Probably not in today's age. Again, we're upset when we put out 5 videos and nobody watches them. I have people that contact me now and they say, Adam, I've been crushing it on social media. Posting stuff. Nobody's replying back to it. I don't know what to do. Putting videos out there. Whatever. And then I go and look at their profile. Well, you've been doing good for about a month. How about you do it for the next 6 months? How about the next year? See what your result is going to be. Even this right here, right? This is not normal. And Mr. LaCroix, who's watching, I've got to try and convince him that this is worthwhile. It's not an easy thing to do. All right, moving on to the next point. So these points that I have, a lot of these are excerpts just taken right out of the book, and then I have my thoughts on it. And I'm sure I'll probably be compounding on top of those thoughts once I even read it. If you guys want to know more about the book, buy the book. It is a fantastic book. It's actually a really quick read, and it won't take you hardly any time to do it. And that's what you should be doing. So, live your passion. What does that mean anyway? It means that when you get up for work every morning, every single morning, you are pumped because you get to talk about or work with or do the thing that interests you most in the world. You don't live for vacations because you don't need a break from what you're doing. Working, playing, and relaxing are all the same thing. You don't even pay attention to how many hours you're working because to you, it's not really work. You're making money, but you do whatever it is you're doing for free. There's a lot of detailers that are watching this right now. Does any of that sound familiar at all? Yeah. A lot of you guys were detailing your vehicles or your family's vehicles well before you were getting paid for it, and you just did it because you enjoyed it. Now, you've got a business where you're getting paid for the thing that you love to do, and of course, you're still going to have bad days, right? But for the most part, you wake up and you're excited to go to work. So here's the point that I wrote down in my notes. So what does this mean for everyone else out there? I know there is a lot of people listening to this podcast that own a detailing business because they hated who they were working for or wanted to go out and do their own thing. That's great. It's awesome. But do you wake up every day with that fire in your belly? Do you wake up every day prepared to work the 14 to 18 hours a day to make the business work and really shove it to those who said you couldn't make it? So think about that. A lot of you guys started up this business because you didn't like who you were working for, and that's fine. I mean, I kind of did the exact same thing. But the problem is that just waking up every single day and getting excited to go to work and then just working is not the same thing as owning a business. You have to learn and you have to do the things that you don't want to do in order for this to be successful to the point that you are running your business and it's not running you, right? So how do we get there? How do we do that? Well, that's the reason why we're reviewing this book. This book gives you what you need to, the basics of what you need to know in order to do those kinds of things. And it's not really tough. You know, it's not, I mean, I shouldn't say it's not tough. It's simple in theory, it's hard in execution. People get discouraged really easily because they're not getting the amount of feedback that they want. I mean, look at this live stream right now. You guys are giving me lots of great comments and everything like that. It'd be really tough to keep doing this live stream if I was basically just sitting here watching a video of myself talking, right? But sometimes that's what you have to do. So the next point is it's never a bad time to start a business unless you're starting a mediocre business. I think economic downturns represent a huge opportunity for everyone to get their focus on and start to crush it. The person who can dominate during rough times is the person who can dominate, period. Now, there's a Mr. LaCroix on here who has owned a detailing business or just a business in general for 20 some years, and I believe, if I remember right, has said that his business has gone through 3 economic downturns. And after every one of them, his business came out the other side even better and stronger than what it was before. Economic downturns or downturns in the market suck for everyone, right? It's never fun. Nobody likes it. But the thing that it does do for you, and this is coming from someone who has not personally experienced this. So let's just get that out of the way real quick. I'm too young to have owned a business and experienced going through an economic downturn. So I'm not even going to sit here and act like I know what that's about. But what I do know is I have listened and talked to a lot of people that have gone through these situations and tried to learn from them as best as possible. So what happens in an economic downturn? Well, the people who were doing really good business but they were just kind of getting along. They weren't innovating. They weren't trying new things or whatever. They're not going to be crafty enough to get themselves out of that downturn. What's going to happen is very slowly, by a death of 1,000 cuts, they're basically just going to be gone. Well, you hopefully will be able to figure out a strategy on how to stay in business and innovate your way and attract new customers and stay with your base. Now, you're probably not going to be killing it in a downturn, but you're going to be staying alive. But what's going to happen is once that downturn is done, all of a sudden you've had this huge pool of people that have been hearing about you, or the fact that your competition is non-existent, and here you are just ready to receive the rewards of all that hard work that you did in the year to 2 years that you were slumming through it. Gary talks about this a lot on his YouTube videos, that the best time to invest in businesses, or really in anything, is when there is a downturn, and buy them at a low point, and then basically just operate on an even keel until the market upturns, and then all of a sudden you're on the other side of that, right? But the problem is that you then can't just rest on your laurels, right? You can't just say, oh, well, we're killing it now, so I don't need to do anything else. You have to keep going with that. You have to keep innovating and doing other things. I think he says that you want to set aside 10 to 20% of your company's revenue in trying to put itself out of business. So you're setting aside 10 to 20% of your company's revenue to do things that could actually jeopardize the business that you own right now. For example, Blockbuster. What if Blockbuster had taken 10 to 20% of its revenue and decided to put it into video streaming platform or online movie rentals? Because a little company, tiny little company in comparison to Blockbuster, named Netflix, was ever so slowly chopping away at their market share. But Blockbuster was huge, right? Nobody could touch Blockbuster. And that was Blockbuster's mentality. There's also an argument for, like, once you get to a certain point as a company, the size of company, it just takes longer to steer in different directions, right? I mean, there's that argument as well. But what if 10 to 20% of Blockbuster's revenue had gotten stuck into doing online streaming or online movie rentals? They would have crushed Netflix. Would have absolutely crushed them. It wouldn't even been a comparison. 10% of Blockbuster's revenue was probably well over 100% of Netflix's revenue at probably a good chunk, a good amount of years we're talking about. They had years to innovate something and to make something work, and they just rested on their laurels, right? Okay. So that's me going off the top of my head. Here's what I wrote down, and I made these notes quite a while ago. So it's interesting to think about what my thoughts were back then and what my thoughts are now. So this is still going off of, it's never a bad time to start a business unless you are starting a mediocre business. So, as some of you may or may not know, I have this tattoo on my left forearm that says Arte. I didn't get in that spot to try and get attention from people, because whenever my sleeves are up, I always get asked what it means, to which I'm more than happy to reply. Arte is Greek for excellence of any kind. And I got in that spot so that it serves as a daily reminder to never do mediocre crap if I actually care about something. Now that's an important point right there. If I put my focus on something, it has to be 100%. And that's what this passage means to me as well. It doesn't matter your conditions. It doesn't matter your circumstances. If you want something bad enough, you will make it work. And I pretty firmly believe in that. With detailing, go to Walmart, buy $50 worth of product, go hustle your butt off. Really, at the end of the day, that's what you need to do. And work towards becoming excellent at it. I mean, if you're in such a situation that you can't spend more than, say, $200 on product, well, then you're going to have to get awfully crafty about how you spend that $200 and come out the other side of that with a really great business, right? So, going back to the book, here's the deal. If you want it badly enough, the money is there, the success is there, and the fulfillment is there. All you have to do is take it. So quit whining, quit crying, quit with the excuses. If you already have a full-time job, you can get a lot done between 7 p.m. and 2 a.m. 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. if you have kids, because, kids. So learn to love working during those pre-dawn hours. That's what's in the book. If you're all caught up on Game of Thrones, if you know what the season finale is and everything like that, but yet you are not happy with your situation, whether it be in your business, whether it be working for someone else, whatever, if you're not happy and you're all caught up on GOT, what could you have been doing in that time? What would it be worth if 5 years from now, five years from now, you came back and said, you are now operating a $250,000 a year business? Do you think you could give up some leisurely comfort for that? Do you think that you could miss Game of Thrones? Do you think that Netflix 5 years from now will be streaming the entire series of Game of Thrones and you could just binge watch it in a weekend? Or iTunes. Whatever. What's it worth to you? Think about it. All right. It's pretty much actually the exact same point I made quite a few weeks ago, so don't really need to expand on that point anymore. Consumers want you to tell them the truth. Sure, they want quality and service and value and entertainment, but above all, they want to know what the person they're dealing with is being honest. They want to know that the person they're dealing with is being honest. Entrepreneurs don't really have a choice. The lines between private and public are becoming increasingly blurred, and with people able to share their experience and thoughts and photographs on video by spraying them all over the internet within minutes after they happen, the days of being able to con the consumer without repercussions are pretty much over. So no matter how you shape and color your personal brand, honesty has got to be at your core. I'm pretty positive this book was written almost exactly 10 years ago. Now, something to keep in mind is 10 years prior to that, so 2009, so let's just say 1999, it wasn't really all that uncommon for companies just to not give a rip about what you as a consumer or customer thought. Because they knew that you're only going to be affecting, at most, something like 25 people. Unless you're someone who has a lot of authority or whatever. So they're like, what do we care if we piss that guy off? And so what? We lost 25 people. Maybe. Maybe. Now, on the other hand, if you piss off one person, it could mean hundreds. It could mean thousands. It could mean tens of thousands of people all of a sudden become very aware of not only you and your brand and your company, but they have a very negative opinion of it. And I don't know about you, but hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, that's a lot of people potentially not buying your stuff. Now, nowadays, 2019, this can also kind of go the other way, right? You get some people that threaten your business, and say that if they don't get their way, they're going to post a fake review or a bad review or whatever of your business. And then all of a sudden, just because you didn't give them something for free, or they just, whatever, there was a misunderstanding. Now all of a sudden, it kind of works in the reverse, right? The consumer holds all of the power. They go and spread that your business sucks, that they screwed you over, whatever. And now all of a sudden, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people got the wrong impression of you just because you didn't bend to their will, right? And that's not necessarily right either. And there, believe me, it's happened to all of us, that anyone that's owned a business, whatever, we've all been there, done that, right? Like, it's happened. So, people could just kind of know this nowadays. Like, I think businesses nowadays have pretty much caught on to the fact that they have to, that they just have to operate this way. Like, I think there was an airline here like a year ago that treated a customer really poorly. I can't remember if it was Delta, American Airlines is one of the big ones. Treated a customer really poorly, and it just blew up. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, now have a really bad opinion of that airline. So, all right. Leveraging social networking platforms into effective conduits for your personal brand is all about building word of mouth. There's nothing new in that. Since the first 6 handfuls of grain were handed over in exchange for a new ox, business owners have always known that what their customers and their friends, family, or colleagues think about their restaurant or car or vacation spot or cleaning service or design firm has always mattered more than any billboard or radio ad that they could buy. But there has always been a finite number of people that their customers and friends, family, or colleagues could talk to about their experience with their products and service. So basically, this is just saying let's just go back 20 years ago. There's only so many people that you, as a customer, could reach. It was just a numbers game. There's only so many people in your circle that actually give a rip about your opinion enough to not buy something just because you said that you had a bad experience. Now, on the other hand, I don't remember how many friends I have on Facebook. It doesn't really matter. I think it was like around 3,500, so I'm just going to say 3,500. Now, I have 3,500 people just on my Facebook alone that you guys might not give a rip about my opinion on something or whatever. But if I tell you, hey, this business really screwed me over and I get to actually supply the screenshots and emails and all this other stuff supporting what I was saying, well then, again, this kind of ties back into the old one, my last point. Then that's a whole different situation, right? That is a situation where your word of mouth has now multiplied. That's what this point is kind of going off of. Every single person's voice has now been multiplied by 10 or 100, whatever. Because before, in real life, you really only have so many people in your inner circle. Now, that inner circle is much, much bigger. And I'm not talking about the people that you hang out with on Friday or Saturday night watching Game of Thrones. I'm just talking about people that value your opinion in general. And the more of an influencer that you are, the more that opinion actually matters. So this is what I wrote a little while ago. Word of mouth is by far the most important advertising tool that you have at your disposal. There's a term in marketing called social proofing. Basically, it implies that we are pack animals still, and we wait for other people to make the jump first before we will. This is why reviews are so critical for products or businesses or videos on YouTube. We as human beings need those views because then it attracts other views, more views. Another thing to remember is that people's BS meters are far more in tune now. People are going to know when you are being fake and will immediately turn you off because of it. Completely agree. It's a weird thing when your business gets to a point that there's continually people that are buying into your business, that are using your services, and then it just has this multiplication effect. Because there's more, it's not, and it doesn't really have anything to do with your marketing or anything like that. There just gets to be this multiplier. If you're doing a good job on the marketing end of things, that says, hey, Tony with the Tundra over there just showed up at Adam's shop and got this service done, and Tony says that it was really great. Well, I kind of respect Tony, so now I kind of want to take my pick up there because I know that since Tony had a good experience, I'm going to have a good experience. There's also this really interesting thing in marketing. It's shaped just like a bell. It's a bell curve, right? So right here you have what's called early adopters, and then up here you have early to mid adopters, and then you have mid to late adopters, and then you have late adopters. Okay? So what that breaks down to is whenever there's a new technology out, there's just a certain subset of people that will rush out and get it no matter what, because they just want the latest and greatest, the best that there is. That's what they want. Something that just comes to mind is Tesla. When Tesla cars first came out, I mean, those were early adopter people through and through. Electric cars at this point, by and large, had never hit mass adoption with the public. People didn't really understand them. There was a whole lot of confusion about how they were going to work and charge. I mean, there's just all this. Early adopters are the people that say, I don't care, I just have to have the earliest, latest, and greatest. Now, for you guys in your business, how do you appeal to the people that are early adopters? How do you convince someone to come into your business when there is no social proofing, there is no one telling them, hey, don't worry about it, this guy's going to take care of you? Now, however, if we just go along the same thought pattern with Tesla, we're kind of at the early to mid adoption rate, right? Teslas are being sold more and more and more. In fact, they're getting sold so well, and the proof is already in the pudding that it works, that Ford, GM, Audi, all the big dogs are coming in and they're making EV-only vehicles. So once Ford and all those other people start making EV vehicles, we're going to start hitting the early to mid adopters. Your Tony with the Tundra, all of a sudden Tony's got an F-150 that's fully EV, and Tony says it's awesome. And here you are, you're like, I don't know if I want to go that way yet. I still like the gas engine. I still like the noises it makes. Vroom. I like it. So, you're over here, mid to late. 5 years later, your gas engine F-150 is starting to break down, spark plugs need to get replaced, gaskets are leaking, whatever, right? You're thinking to yourself, man, Tony's had that pickup for 5 years. He's never had any issues with it. Maybe I should think about getting that pickup. And then you decide to buy an EV F-150. You're in the mid to late. Now, late adopters are the people that everyone else in the world has already bought this technology. 70% of people are out there are using it. It's thoroughly proven. And now they're willing to take the jump in, take the plunge, and buy it, right? So this is your guys' grandma who just now realized that there's a phone that can stream video of her grandbaby, and she doesn't have to do anything except pop it open. Now, you as the whatever have to like coach them through it and explain how the settings work and what's Snapchat? Well, Grandma, just people send you pictures, okay? Just that's what happens, okay? Just here. Just use it. That is the late adopter. The I don't know what the late adopter for in vehicle terms, everyone knows that one guy that still swears that carbureted engines are the best way to go. I mean, all of us detailers right now, everyone can throw up their hand and be like, I know Billy Bob with the 70s F-150 that's carbureted, and he's still rolling around. He still swears to God that carbureted is the way to go, but yet Billy Bob is out there on negative 30-degree day, can't get his pickup started because it's carbureted. He says fuel injections for idiots. That's a late adopter. Are we kind of getting the picture now? Okay. If anybody has questions about that, ask in the comments. I'm starting to get towards the end of my book here. I might even have a few more. Oh, yeah. I've got quite a few more points in here. Maybe I'll do that in the actual podcast. But if you guys have questions, ask in the comments. Maybe I'll stick around for a little while. All right. So, again, this part is kind of where shows its age a little bit, but great content is what you're going to pump into your social media networks to draw eyeballs to your blog. It exists as a result of passion plus expertise, so make sure you can talk about your product like no one else. Do your homework. You should be reading and absorbing every single resource you can find, books, trade journals, newsletters, websites, as well as taking classes and attending lectures and conferences. Great content is also all about telling stories. And that's true even if you're in retail or B2B or consumer services. If you're a real estate agent and your area is Clark, New Jersey, then you should want to tell me everything about Clark that makes it unique. Tell me the story of the town, not just the home you want to sell me. Make me care about the place as much as you do. If you're a doctor, give me advice on your opinion about flu shots. If your passion is sales, talk to me about why you love it, your favorite persuasive technique, your most interesting clients, and your biggest challenges. Tell me your story. And if you're good, I'll come back for more. Then I'll tell my friends and they'll come. And where my friends and I go, the dollars in the form of ad revenue, sponsorships, and invitations to broaden your platform will follow. Communicate with me because whoever is the best communicator will win. So this is my point to that. Okay, so on this podcast, which this is me recording the podcast. I know, it's weird. I have hammered home on the fact that you can make great content on educating your customers about all there is to know about detailing, and here Gary just takes that and expands on it a bit more. What might seem mundane and everyday to you might be incredibly interesting to someone else. Why are you snow foaming your car? Why did you choose a sealant over a wax? Why was a ceramic coating the best option for that customer? Why wasn't a ceramic coating a good option for that customer you talked to today that said that they could just never give up their brushed car wash subscription? Did you recently change products? Why? Which ones are you trying out? Why? There's just an endless list of things that you do every single day in your business that you can post about and people will tune in to learn more. Okay, I've got actually 2 points on this that I want to bring up. Something that was really interesting to me once I started doing car care clinics and I started doing trainings with people was I would actually have people struggling. Okay, so, we all take a towel and we fold it into fours, right? So for the layman's out there, we take a towel and then we fold it in half, then we fold it in half again, right? So you have you technically have 8 surfaces that you can use. Now, to pretty much every one of us detailers, this is something that is just so second nature to us that we don't even think about it, but we can use that towel without it folding up on us, right? And I would go to these trainings and I'd put in these car care clinics, and these people were trying to use this towel folded into fours, and it's just spreading open on them, and then they're just using one side to wipe it down. And I was sitting here thinking to myself, well, what in the world is going on here? Like, just don't unfold the towel. Right? That is about as mundane as it gets. Now, then in these trainings, I realized that I'm holding the towel in a specific way that makes it so that it doesn't unfold. So then I teach people that, and then they're like, oh my God, you're a genius. No, I just hook my thumb the right way and then tilt my hand a little bit, right? There's just nothing to it. I see that Braden Dell is on here. Braden was my first employee. Braden had a problem with this. And this is actually where I kind of learned how to teach someone how to do this. When Braden first started, towels just get unfolded everywhere. It's just single side use only. And then, it was mayhem. And then I said, hey man, just lay your hand like this, hook your thumb, tilt your hand, boom. Towel doesn't unfold anymore, right? But you would be shocked if you were, as a business owner, were to just put out a video and say, is your towel unfolding on you? Ever wonder how I keep all four sides usable? Well, today, on Jimmy Bob's detailing video, I'm going to show you how to make it so that your towels will not unfold on you when you're using them. That it's just such mundane content, but people will go crazy for it. Now, the second point that I want to make on this, I was having drinks with a friend who owns a very high-end art gallery here just the other night. This is just a couple of days ago. Shout out to Ray Felds, Matt Jorgensen. He was struggling with trying to attract basically people like me. We were just talking about what would make you interested in paying for us to frame up a piece of art for you, or pictures, or whatever it is. And I said, well, honestly, I just don't know anything about it. Why would I pay more money to get a picture reframed from you? And I don't understand the difference between Hobby Lobby or Sears or whatever, buying a frame there and buying one from you. So we got to talking a little bit more, and he has 3 different qualities of glass. He has a good, better, best, right? That's the quality of glass that he has. And so when he's sitting here explaining to me why you would want the best glass, because it has really great built-in UV protection, seals out dust, whatever. There's all these things, right? It's the best. It's the best glass that you can buy. And I said, well, why don't you just take a picture, spread it out on a table, take your 3 different qualities of glass, spread it out, and then put either a single or a couple of UV lights right over the top of it, leave it running for the entire weekend, time lapse the process, and then when you get back on Monday, pull out the pictures, and then show me the UV degradation that's happened because someone didn't go with the highest end glass. That right there is proof positive that paying more for a piece of glass that I'm just going to assume you're just marking up and there's actually no real difference between them. Right there, that is an educational piece that I would be interested in. It might seem mundane to you as a framer, but to me, that's extremely interesting. Now I have a reason to spend the $100 or so, whatever extra dollars on this better piece of glass, right? Now, let's take a frame. Because that was the second piece that we got onto. Why buy a frame from a professional art gallery / frame place versus a Hobby Lobby or whatever? What's really the difference? And I said, look, I'm just going to guess here, but I'm just thinking that it's going to be in the joints, right? You buy something from Hobby Lobby or Walmart, whatever, that joint isn't super tight, and then when you're moving or rehanging it up or whatever, it's going to warp or break or whatever, and then all of a sudden your very precious and close to you picture is no longer secured inside, and then there's all this, it's just heartache, right? It's just annoying. So why don't you take a frame that you buy from Hobby Lobby, Walmart, whatever, set a 20-pound weight on the corner or right in the middle of it between, so the frames are suspended across two 2x4s, put a 20-pound weight right in the middle, and then take your expensive frame, do the exact same thing, leave them for a weekend, time-lapse the whole thing, come back, take the weight off, and then show how one is more warped than the other one. And then explain why that would be important to you as a consumer. Educational content is absolutely king. It is the thing that you can do in your business to make people aware of why they should buy from you. There's so many times a day that I get messaged and asked, what people just compare me to the car wash. Well, then don't put out the same pictures and videos that the car wash is doing. It's a shocking revelation, right? Car wash, the pictures that they're putting out is a freshly washed car. Most detailers are putting out pictures and videos of freshly detailed cars. My wife, if I put both pictures right in front of her and I say, which one's cleaner? She's going to go, I don't know. They both look shiny to me. Like, whoop-de-doo. And then I say, this one cost $500. This one costs $50. She's going to go, you're insane. I'm going with the $50 one. Get out of here. What? If you guys don't want to be treated like a car wash, don't put out content that's like a car wash. Explain why you polish the paint. Explain why you're putting on something that is actually going to last 6 months. Have a test panel that sits outside and you put paste turtle wax on there in 100-degree heat, and then you put Opti-Seal or Hyper-Seal on the other half of it and say, hey, every week we're going to come back and we're going to test this out and see which one lasts longer. Gee, I wonder which one's going to last longer. That actually might be interesting to the person. You are now giving them a reason to spend 10 times the money for your service. Like, you're providing value in its educational content. I talk about this on the podcast all the time, but there's just so many of you guys that are just going to keep doing the same exact thing over and over again because you're just getting by. Like, you're making sales, people are buying stuff from you. I don't need to do that. What do I care? That's too hard, whatever. Well, what happens when the economic downturn happens and then all of a sudden you're the one that's left out to dry because you didn't do the work on explaining to people why your service is better than the $50 car wash? Because if people in an economic downturn have a choice between $500 and $50, more than likely they're going to go to the $50 one because to them, that's what they know. That they're both shiny at the end, right? That's what people know, okay? Brant Clavon, I see that he's on here. Brant's got an agricultural repair business. He fixes tractors. Why is his service better than Case IH, John Deere, or whatever? Make videos on why it is. He's got a great personality. It would be easy for him to make videos on that. Brant, make videos. Do posts. Love you, buddy. All right. That was a really emotional point. Hopefully I get into that just as much in the actual podcast. All right. Last point that I have actually written down here. We've all watched and read and listened to boring blogs. Most of them out there, in fact, are really boring. Is it because the star doesn't know what he's talking about? No. He's on message. He's relevant. He's informative. The problem isn't that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's that he's talking about it at all. He should probably be talking about something else. Something that makes him shine, that gets him excited, that allows his personality and his passion to burst through your monitor and demand that you pay attention, no matter whether he's an introvert or an extrovert. Case in point, the last point that I just made. I was animated. I was excited. There's a lot of emotion, passion behind that, right? Did it help to drive home the point? Now, if I'm talking about Care Bears, I'm not going to have as much passion talking about Care Bears as I am about how to make you guys freaking money day in and day out. When I had my detailing business, I cared about making money. So do you think that when I was on camera, that I was smiling a lot, laughing a lot, making jokes, my passion and everything was coming through the camera? Yeah. Because I actually gave a rip about what I was talking about. So if you're not willing to reach through the screen and strangle someone because they're not understanding why your $500 car wash is better than the $50 car wash, then don't write about it. Don't podcast about it. For gosh sakes, don't videotape it, because the video is going to look something like this. If I'm talking about Care Bears. Care Bears is a show that was on, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. Had, like, a bunch of bears with, like, hearts right here. And they would do this thing called, I don't know, like, caring is sharing or sharing is caring, Care Bear, power, whatever. And then, like, beams would radiate. Like, holy crap. I just about fell asleep because I thought I was listening to, I don't know. Like, guys, if you're not willing to get that fired up about something to, like, make yourself look ridiculous on camera, don't bother doing it. Don't write about it. Don't podcast about it. Don't videotape it. Don't do it. Because there is this filter that happens when you're on camera, doing podcasts, whatever, that the emotion that you're putting into it just gets knocked down by like -10, okay? You have to be psyched to talk about ceramic coatings. You have to be so pumped about talking about extracting carpet. You might not like it, but your bank account loves it. You have to be pumped to talk about that kind of stuff. Because when you're pumped about it, it comes through. And then other people get excited about it. Here's the point that I made a couple of weeks ago about this point in the book. When I was doing live videos and just plain recorded my videos on my Facebook business page, I was getting a decent enough views and I was putting out the content on a fairly regular basis. But there was just one problem. I wasn't delivering enough energy. Now, I know this isn't exactly what Gary was talking about here, but something to keep in mind that a good friend told me once when doing podcasts, blogs, videos is that when it is done right, it is actually very tiring to produce the work. And here's the reason why. Most of the viewers, readers, or listeners' senses are cut down. Think about it for a second. We have all... Oh, hold on a second. I lost my spot because Matt Szymanski made me lose my spot. We have all met that one person in real life that is loud, bigger than life, and is very animated. Heck, I think I just described myself because I did. If any one of you guys have met me in real life, I am extremely loud. Very, very loud. In fact, my voice carries so well that I kid you not. My creative director, Adam Carter, freaking hates me because you see this little lav mic right here? I had it all the way down here in the middle of my chest. And when I'm speaking, especially talking about detailing stuff, because I give a rip about it, the mic just cuts out all over the place. The audio, absolute horrible crap. It is donkey. Ugh. It's terrible. It's not usable. And it's because I just project and I have a lot of animation, right? Like me doing this right now, this is actually pretty much what it's like to talk to me in real life. And it might not seem like it's a lot through camera because, again, we're talking about that filter. But it is exhausting for some other people. If you're an introvert and you're around me, it is exhausting to be around me. And I don't blame people for not wanting to be around me. I'm an exhausting person. How my wife puts up with it, I don't know. All right. talking to that person for long periods of time is very draining on you because all of your senses are overloaded from his voice being too loud, your eyes seeing all the animations, and you have to speak louder to match his energy. He may even slap you on the shoulder, so there's the touch aspect. But when you're recording a podcast or video, whatever, you have to remember that the person listening is doing just that and only that. They're just listening. They can't see what you're doing. They can't feel you. They can't smell you. None of that. So when you are recording a podcast, you actually have to deliver 50% more energy in order to get your point and your passion across. But now what about video? You have sight and sound, but it is getting filtered through a medium, the TV. It just cuts down on the senses no matter what. So when you're recording something, try to be 25% louder, more animated, more energy, because it translates into what's normal when being watched on TV. Now, if you guys, it's actually becoming kind of a common thing where really popular podcasts will do videos of the actual podcast and upload them to YouTube, right? Like I'm kind of doing right now, we're doing a live, but they'll actually like record it and then cut it down and everything like that. By the way, we also are now uploading just the audio version of the Optimum Synergy podcast to YouTube. So if you want to check it out there, that would be awesome. And if you don't have Apple, Spotify, whatever. If you watch what those guys do when they record a podcast, some of them, I guess I should say, some of them. The ones that, when you're listening to it, it sounds like there's a lot of passion. When you watch what they're doing, they are darn near taking that microphone and just squeezing the bejesus out of it. And there's just passion there. There's passion. You see it in their eyes, see it in their face. And they will even tell you, like, afterwards, they just have to cool down for like an hour because it's just exhausting. And it just is. If you guys have ever been on a video shoot where it takes multiple hours to talk about something, like, it's exhausting to those people to do that because they have to deliver so much energy through the camera because that's what translates online. So, anyways, that's all the points that I have for this podcast. Can't believe that was just about an hour. Well, now I know when I actually do the actual podcast, that's going to be tough. Except I recorded this, so I could just upload the audio version of this, which I might do. Stitcher is what I use to listen to podcasts. Are we on Stitcher, Hans? Like, I've only added a couple of services, so I could be wrong. But anyways, I know we're on Google and Spotify, YouTube, everything like that. But if you guys have questions about this, please do put them in the comments, DM me, message me, whatever, email me, and we can talk about it. But otherwise, this was good. Let me know if you guys liked this. If you didn't, personally, I'd like to keep doing this. I'd really like to get like the little bugs fixed as far as like the chat features working and everything like that, but I think I'd like to keep doing this. All right, you guys have a great day. I will talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Optimum Synergy podcast. We look forward to seeing you next week. Hope you enjoyed the ride.